The headlights cut through the black abyss of the open road, casting long, eerie shadows that danced and flickered. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, knuckles bone white, her heart a trapped bird in her chest, fluttering wildly with each passing second. She just wanted to be home, away from that dorm, that room, that presence. The memories of the past few nights haunted her, each one more terrifying than the last. Miles blurred into more miles, each one further from college, closer to home, closer to safety. The road seemed endless, a never-ending stretch of asphalt and fear. Or so she thought. The hairs on the back of her neck pricked up, a primal warning she couldn't ignore, a prickling that had nothing to do with the biting winter air blasting through the car vents. It was a deeper, more insidious chill. It was the feeling of being watched, an invisible gaze that bore into her soul. The first flicker in the rearview mirror was easy to dismiss, just fatigue playing tricks, right? But then a shape began to solidify in the reflection, growing clearer with each glance, a figure shrouded in darkness, yet disturbingly clear. It was as if the shadows themselves had come to life, a face, pale and gaunt, with eyes that burned with an eerie familiarity, eyes that seemed to pierce through the veil of reality. It was her. Sarah was sure of it. Her breath hitched in her throat, a silent scream trapped within, unable to escape. Sarah dared not turn around, terrified of what she might see. The fear was paralyzing, a cold grip on her heart. The temperature inside the car plummeted, a bone-chilling cold that seeped into Sarah's very marrow. Her breath fogged up the glass, each exhale a testament to her growing dread. This was no ordinary passenger. This was something sinister, something attached. An entity that had latched onto her, feeding off her fear, growing stronger with each passing moment. The entity in the rearview mirror remained, a constant spectre haunting her every glance, never allowing her a moment of peace. Its eyes, burning with an unnatural intensity, seemed to bore into Sarah, reading her deepest fears, feeding off her growing terror. The drive, usually a mundane 3-hour stretch, now stretched on like an eternity, with no end in sight. Each mile was a struggle, a battle against the overwhelming urge to slam on the brakes and flee into the night, away from the terror. Memories, vivid and unwelcome, flooded Sarah's mind, making her heart race. Memories of her freshman roommate, Jessica, who was always there. Jessica, with her quiet demeanor and unsettlingly intense gaze, always watching. Jessica, who always seemed to be watching Sarah, studying her every move, never looking away. Jessica, who had only months ago tragically passed away in their dorm room, leaving a void. Whispers, barely audible at first, began to slither from the back seat, growing louder. Whispers that sent chills down Sarah's spine, pronouncements of her name laced with a chilling possessiveness. "Sarah!" they hissed. "You left me, you abandoned me. You shouldn't have left me, Sarah." Jessica's obsession with Sarah had been unsettling from the start. It was a fixation that seemed harmless at first, almost flattering in its intensity. It began subtly. Small gifts left on Sarah's desk, notes slipped under her door, always expressing feelings of love and gratitude. These tokens of affection were initially seen as sweet, even endearing, but yet troubling at the same time. At first, Sarah dismissed it as harmless infatuation. But as the weeks morphed into months, Jessica's behavior grew increasingly erratic, her obsession deepening into something dark and possessive. The once innocent gestures turned into a suffocating presence. She would show up unexpectedly, her eyes gleaming with a disturbing intensity, her words laced with a possessiveness that made Sarah's skin crawl. Jessica's presence became a shadow that Sarah couldn't escape. She'd talk about their connection, their destiny, how they were meant to be together, always together. Jessica's words were filled with an eerie certainty that left Sarah feeling trapped. Sarah tried to distance herself, to explain that their friendship was simply platonic, but Jessica refused to listen. Her pleas fell on deaf ears, and Jessica's obsession only grew stronger. Then came the night of the tragedy. The night Jessica took her own life right there in their dorm room, leaving behind a chilling note. "You can't leave me, Sarah. Not now, not ever." The room, once a place of study and rest, became a scene of horror. "We'll be together, forever." These words became a haunting premonition, a promise whispered from beyond the grave. Sarah would never forget the chilling finality of Jessica's last message. The moment Sarah stepped across the threshold of her childhood home, she knew something was terribly wrong. The house, once filled with warmth and laughter, now felt like a stranger, cold and unwelcoming. The air hung heavy, thick with an unseen menace. It was as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets, secrets that were never meant to be heard. The familiar scent of her mother's apple pie was overpowered by the stench of decay and something else, something metallic and cloying. It was a smell that brought back memories she had tried to forget. It was the same smell that lingered in their dorm room after Jessica's death, a smell that haunted her dreams and turned them into nightmares. Her parents, their faces etched with worry and confusion, were subjected to a series of terrifying events. They had tried to protect her, but the fear in their eyes told her they were as helpless as she felt. Objects moved on their own, lights flickered erratically, disembodied whispers echoed through the house, always uttering Sarah's name with a chilling possessiveness. It was as if the house itself was alive, and it wanted her. Her family was trapped in a nightmare orchestrated by a jealous spirit, tormented by an entity fixated on reclaiming what it believed to be its own. The spirit's presence was suffocating, its intentions clear and malevolent. One night, as the entity's grip on the house tightened, a blood-curdling scream tore through the silence. It was a scream that echoed through the halls, a scream that would haunt Sarah forever. Sarah's mother lay sprawled at the bottom of the staircase, her eyes wide with terror, her wrist twisted at an unnatural angle. The sight was horrifying, a stark reminder of the danger they were in. She had tripped, fallen, pushed by an unseen force. It was a force that seemed to take pleasure in their suffering, a force that was growing stronger by the day. It was a warning, a gruesome message: return to Jessica, or others will pay the price. The message was clear, and it left no room for doubt. Sarah knew with chilling certainty what she had to do. The decision weighed heavily on her, but there was no other choice. She had to go back to where it all began, back to where Jessica's spirit awaited. It was the only way to end the nightmare and save her family. Stay tuned for part 2 to discover what Sarah discovers as she returns back to the dorm room her and Jessica shared.